guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video all about your favorite tropes. So I asked my patrons, and then I also asked on Instagram, what tropes do you guys have that you want a recommendation for? I was supposed to finish the vlog today, but life got in the way. I didn't finish it in time. So we are doing this instead, but I am coming at you with my Hocus Pocus sweatshirt that is so cute, and my new nails, and we are all ready for this video. So I have tons of tropes. I have an entire page worth of tropes, and we're gonna get to the books. So the first one is Billionaire or Why Choose, and I've combined these two. So we have Tangled in Tinsel by Trelina Pucci, which is also a Christmas romance which someone else asked for, but this one is just such a fun time. I really enjoyed it when I read it last December, and I feel like it's October now, so you might, like me, be starting your Christmas reading plans, and so this one definitely keep an eye on. It is definitely just a super spicy fun time, and it is with 4 guys that she works for. They do get snowed in together. I'm trying to find the synopsis because I can't remember how many people are involved. I thought it was 4. Okay, so it is 4. At least one of them works with her. I don't remember if they all work with her, but somehow it's work related. They all get snowed in together and things turn into a spicy fun time, and there's like tinsel involved and like Christmas cookies and cooking. So if you want something fun, that is Why Choose and Billionaire. Check this one out. Then we have Office Romance, and I'm gonna recommend Right Where I Want You by Jessica Hawkins. I think this might have been the last one she published, and it was in like 2019. I need more from her. I love her books so much, and she hasn't written in a while. This one is about the hero who works for a magazine, and they are seen not in the best light. They're very like bro, and like they need a revamp of their reputation. So the heroine is called in to do that, and his company is immediately like, we don't want you around, and we don't need your help. So she's working on their reputation, and they end up falling in love. So it's like kind of hate to love, definitely very Office Romance, and I don't see anybody talking about this because it's definitely a little bit older. I did dig a little back for some of these, so if you're new here, these might be brand new recommendations for you, but definitely check this one out for Office Romance. Okay, so the next one is Single Dad, and I have combined this with Romantic Suspense because someone else asked for that, and that is Ends of the Earth. So this one is an MM romance where one is like a park ranger person and the other one has a daughter, and he's a single dad, and he finally has enough money to take them out like on a camping trip, and they go and they meet this guy, and they end up like really getting along. There's like some sort of criminal on the loose. I don't remember if he was a serial killer or not. Some criminal was on the run through where they are and kidnapped his daughter, and so the 2 guys have to team up to help find the daughter. And obviously they had like already kind of started to form this kind of like attraction to one another, and now it's like do or die. Like they need to go find his daughter, and it's a lot of fun because there's suspense involved. It takes place in the wilderness, and single dad, and he was really cute with his daughter. He just wanted to give her everything because the trip was something she'd always wanted. So I really like this one. Someone asked for a baseball romance, and this one again, I read it so long ago, but oh my god, I remember the reading experience just being so amazing, and that is Moonshot by Alessandra Torrey. This one has a little bit of suspense in it as well, but it's definitely something that like spans a long time because the heroine has always grown up on the baseball team. Her dad, I don't remember if her dad was a player or a coach, but she was always around with the team, and there's this new hotshot pitcher on the team, and they say like stay away from him, he's bad news, and they end up starting a relationship, and then things happen. So that's all I really want to say, but I really enjoyed this one. I read this one in 2018, but I would love to read it again. It probably stands the test of time. It was so good, and literally like my entire review was like, oh my gosh, this book is amazing. I absolutely loved it. Can't recommend it enough. There wasn't a dull moment. Had so many more sort of emotions. If you haven't yet, you have to pick this up. So pick up Moonshot. Someone asked for a Secret Baby, so I am going to go with one of my favorites, which is Bloody Heart by Sophie Lark, because this is also attached to Time Jump, which is one of my favorite things that happen in a book, where it's basically a second chance because like they have a relationship and then time has to pass and then something else happens. So I love it when we see that on page in a book, and in this one she has a fling with this guy because they met when he tried to steal her car, and she was still in it, and she's very wealthy, so the driver had like left the car for a second, and the hero got in and was stealing her car, and they end up falling in love, and she gets pregnant, and then they don't see each other again until later on. So she does keep the baby a secret and doesn't tell him, and then he comes back and realizes that he has a child. So very good. This is a Mafia series. Loved it, and this is one of my favorites in the series. I know it's not a popular opinion. I don't think people super love this one, but I really did. We have Angsty, So Much That'll break your heart. And for this one, I feel like a lot of the angsty ones are pretty obvious that people really love, like Magnolia. I am gonna go though with one that is pretty popular, but you might not have heard of if you're kind of newer to the book scene, and that is A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. This one makes you just want to throw the book across the room and like you're so mad at the book, because it starts with actually they're teenagers and he starts dating her best friend, and then it's basically throughout, like, I don't know if it's like 10 years of their lives where it's literally always right person, wrong time. They can never find a way to be together, and you don't even know if it's gonna have an HEA. I will say this is a romance, so know that, but they have to like fight not being able to be together, and at one point one of them's engaged, and then it's just like, how the heck are they gonna make it work? Are they gonna make it work? Do we want them to make it work? So this one is very, very, very angsty. I need to reread it and annotate it. I literally have only read this once, and I read it back in like 2018. So it's been a very long time, but literally one of the angstiest books I've ever read, and I love it. A Christmas romance, and I'm going to go with Kiss Her Once for Me by Allison Cochran. This one was so good. It's sapphic, and it is a one-night stand and a time jump, so you don't know why they didn't like do anything after their one-night stand until later. It's such a good twist, but I typically am very wary about books where they break up and they don't tell you why, and they like leave it as a reveal, because I'm very usually unimpressed by the reveal. This one I was very impressed by it. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's good. And so a year passes, and the one heroine is just like really running out of money, and I don't remember if she gets fired. Something happens where she's like, oh my god, like I really need money. There's a guy that comes in the coffee shop she works at, and he's like, why don't you marry me and I will get my inheritance and you can have half of it? And she's like, no. But then they decide to do it, and he takes her home to his family, and lo and behold, his sister is the one she had that one night stand with the year before and had her heart broken by. And so it gets very messy, because it's like at a family Christmas, and there's like a family friend involved, and it's so funny. It's so good. I love the dynamics. I loved how messy things got, and I love the romance. And so she's falling in love with her fake fiance, who she's planning on getting married to for money, his sister, who she has a history with. And it's so good. And it's just like, the family's super fun. I loved it. Super Christmas vibes. Definitely read this one. We have Boy Obsessed, which I actually did an entire video on this, and the one I'm going to choose from that video is Shattered Truths by Helena Hunting. The hero of this book is obsessed with the heroine from the minute he sees her. He for sure falls first, and he's not as scared to tell her he fell first, and he is a figure skater, and she's a hockey player. So I love that dynamic, and she is definitely from not a great family. Her father is abusive, and they don't have a lot of money, and she spends most of the money she earns on her dad and his problems, and so she really would love to skate more, and she goes to like this open skate, and he almost runs into her with his car when he first meets her and forces her to come to his open skate because he sees that she's a skater, and he's like, if you want your hockey skates back, you have to come. And so she does, and his dad is a coach of a team and he really wants her to play for him, and so the hero ends up giving her some pointers to help her like be faster, and they spend a lot of time together, and he is so like, I want you, and he is so open and adamant about it, and it falls so hard for her. So I love that dynamic of this book, and the series overall is my favorite, so definitely check it out. Second chance romance, I'm gonna go with one that I know is popular, but like I feel like people might not read it because it's book 3 in the series and it doesn't have like the super hype of the series, and that is Final Offer by Lauren Asher. I loved this book. It is very long, but I read it in like a day. Like honestly, I read probably 80% of it in one night because I was so obsessed. It's definitely slow burn. Our hero has had some substance abuse issues in his past, and he is coming back to see the heroine, and her life has drastically changed, and he wants to win her back, and it's very slow. He's a billionaire. His brothers all own this like Disneyland kind of thing, and the grandfather had died, so there's a will, and it's all of them like doing things as stipulations to the will. So it's really good. I loved it so much, and I was just like swooning in my review over it, and I think more people need to read this one because it is my favorite. I feel like people love book 2. This one's my favorite of the series. A Doctor Romance is going to be Pulling Doubles by Christina C. Jones. This one is a doctor and a nurse practitioner. She is studying to be a nurse practitioner and has to work under him, and he's definitely mean to her, but it's more of like, I like you, so I'm gonna be mean to you. And they have to work together, and it literally like mostly takes place at work, and so it does count as an office office romance, but it is a doctor-nurse romance and hate to love. So this one was a lot of fun. I really liked it. I really liked this entire series. It is book 2 in the series, but book 1 was a professor student, but he's like an older student, so I think they were around the same age, and I really loved those first 2 books in the series. Then we have Mafia romance, and I'm going to recommend a not as popular book from a popular author, and that's going to be Ivan and Snow by Sophie Lark. I love these 2. I haven't read the rest of the series. It is the... oh my gosh, what is the series called? Boston Underworld series, and I know she wrote them in a different order initially and then changed the names and rearranged them. So these are the first 2 and I really love them. Ivan is about a female assassin trying to kill this head of the mafia, and obviously she gets caught, but she's like the closest that's ever come to killing him, and he keeps her captive in his basement, and it's so good. I love a assassin heroine. And then book 2, he is an underground fighter and she is forced to be a doctor for the mafia and ends up having to clean him up, and they fall in love. So these 2 books are amazing. I really love them, and they're really good, and they're short. They're not too long. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's one of her least popular series, but one of my favorites. Then we have Brother's Best Friend, and I'm gonna go with Varsity Dad Dilemma by Lex Martin. I love Lex Martin so much, and this one is new adult, so they're in college, and the heroine and hero actually had like a thing their freshman year, and then something happened where they weren't, and now they're seniors, and she lives across the street from her brother who's living with the hero, and a baby is dropped off on their porch, and they can't really read the note, and they're like, whose baby is this? They know someone in the house is the father, but like, who is it? So while they're waiting for the DNA test, all the guys have to help and pitch in, and since it could be the heroine's brother's baby, it could be her nephew, she needs to pitch in and take care of it as well, putting her in the life again of the hero, and they start a romance again. So it is one of her brother's friends, and that's why they actually are reconnected, because she's got to help out, and it was really cute. I really enjoy this one. I really love this series. One Night Stand, I'm gonna go with Wildcat by Rebecca Genshak. They meet because they have a one night stand. I'm pretty sure she thought that he was living at his parents' house because it was like a really, really nice house. He's a professional athlete, and her dad is the coach of the hockey team that he plays for. So they had a one night stand, and she assumed because he said he was in college that he was just like living at home with his parents, and in reality she goes to work and she is working for her dad's team, and she sees the guy she hooked up with, and they actually really liked each other. So it is their romance. I love a good hockey romance. Kind of forbidden because she is a coach's daughter, but it's started with a fun one night stand, and I really enjoy this one. Then we have Friends to Lovers. We're gonna go with my favorite in the series, which is Echoes of You by Catherine Cowles in the Lost and Found series. This is book 2 in the series. They were actually friends since like kindergarten, and the heroine pretty much like accepted the fact that the hero wasn't gonna love her because she is from a not really great family life. Her dad's abusive, and so she would go up his ladder into his room and sleep and spend the night there whenever like home got to be too much for her, and so he never wanted to like break their friendship. She actually gets engaged to someone else and leaves their small town, and her fiance ends up being abusive. So she leaves him and comes back to the small town and is reunited with the hero, and it's their chance of falling back in love, and they've also both always harbored feelings for each other, which I love in a friends to lovers romance, but he doesn't want to hurt her. He knows how much she has been hurt in the past, so it's so good. We have romantic suspense because someone is threatening her. You don't know who it is, but I love this one. Coach Athlete, we're gonna go with one of my favorites, which is Waking Olivia. This one is so good. It is a cross-country romance. So she runs cross-country and he is the coach. He's only a few years older though, but she has a very traumatic past, so she is very stubborn and she deals with a lot. So she's like late to practice a lot and always doesn't look like prepared because of her trauma that she went through, but the coach thinks that she's just being like stubborn and stuck up, and so they really butt heads a lot, but then he takes her under his wing and they start falling in love, and I really loved it because she does stay with his mom sometimes too, and it was really cute, and I just really love this romance. A cult romance, I'm gonna recommend my favorite. I need more. If you have good cult romances, let me know, but Becoming Colder is like my tried and true favorite. I'm pretty sure it was re-released as a traditionally published book. Calder, I believe, has grown up in the cult, and the heroine is like the chosen one supposed to like marry the leader of the cult, and they were waiting until she was like of age, which is still only like 16, 17, in order to marry the leader, and he has been falling in love with her, and they're falling in love together and trying to figure out how to get out of this cult that they are both forced to be a part of. So I really, really loved it. I didn't super love the second book, so I was fine just reading the first book on its own, but it's really good. Reverse age gap, I'm gonna go to my favorite, which is The Pool Boy by Nikki Sloan. We have our heroine who has just gotten divorced, and the hero is her pool boy and her best friend's son. He is so smitten with her too, though. He is like, I don't care how much older you are than I am so into you, and he kind of has to let her know like it's okay for them to be together because she's adamant. She's like, I cannot be be with you. This is so embarrassing. But he's like, there's nothing embarrassing about our love. And there's a really fun subplot about music because she does work in the music industry and he likes music. So I really love this one. Childhood friends to lovers, I'm gonna go with Queen Move by Kennedy Ryan. This one, they literally, I believe they were born on the same day. So their moms were best friends. They were growing up together and they were on the cusp of being something more when they were torn apart when one of them was forced to leave because their family was moving, and they never talked to each other again, and now they're adults and are able to reconnect and have a second chance at a first chance. And they would have just been so madly in love if they had the chance to be in love as they were growing up, but life had other plans. But this one was so good. I love Kennedy Ryan. I love this romance, so definitely pick this one up. And the last one is the single dad nanny trope, which is becoming so popular lately, but I'm gonna go with Love Me Today by Al Jackson. This one, the hero moves to the small town. He's very rich and he needs someone to teach his daughter horseback riding. He runs into literally the heroine with his car. I think she actually backed into him, and so he was like super angry and like really yelled at her. She stood up to him, and so they did not get off on the right foot. She shows up to be the horseback riding teacher for his daughter, and he immediately is like, absolutely not. And she's like, do you want the best for your daughter? That's me. And so she ends up helping the daughter, and they end up falling in love. And there's a little bit of suspense too, because someone is like tampering with things around the ranch, and it was so good. I absolutely love this one. And those are my recommendations for some of your favorite tropes. Let me know in the comments if you have any other recommendations for these or what your favorite tropes are. I would love to hear. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day.